event today was in the most part taking advantage of the fact that Chris and Tim were going to be here. Thanks very much to AV Magazine, as they will be commentating and live streaming from the AV Awards. And it seemed like a great opportunity to get some of their AV Tweeps following and AV Brits following into the room to meet them in person, which isn't a regular opportunity. There were some real common sense moments that were presented to me today where I thought I knew that deep down, but I've never really understood why it was important. And I think the relevance of this event and that seminar today is that we have all become influencers. Maybe not via the social media platforms, but we're living in this video on world, and there is an element of how you present yourself on camera that comes into that. And by learning all of these tools through this video on world, we've kind of taken quite a large step towards social media that maybe we hadn't intended to. I'm really excited about where we're going next because we skipped a whole load of hard work thanks to the pandemic. So we have massively accelerated tech adoption across the board. And even though live events has actually had a real struggle through the pandemic, because of the pandemic, there's this extra dimension to live events, which is the virtual element, which means they diversify, they learn new stuff, etc. And there's whole new business and revenue streams that have been created from it. So honestly, I think our jobs are easier.
Well, personal branding is to many people very strange, very foreign. They see it as something for the young kids. Obviously, by my age, I'm not the young spring chicken that I used to be, but I did get into social media as a way to kind of help with my personal branding, because personal branding was happening before the digital realm. So taking what I know, my CV, my certifications, my education, my experience, and using that to help better promote not just myself, but the industry that we're in, that made a big difference in my career. It launched me in the social media space, actively on Twitter and LinkedIn, and doing what I can on all the new platforms that are ever changing. So take advantage of all these little moments that you have, whether it was 18 months at home or 3 hours at the AV Awards, and you have to completely soak it in. It's a well-deserved time for our industry. Many people have needed this kind of recognition. We go in a very thankless business. Our TVs are TVs. They are displays when they work with us, when they leave their TVs. The digital signage becomes the screen. Everything is watered down. Enjoy the moment, give recognition to the folks that are here, give recognition to the companies that have created the products based on your feedback, and give kudos to those that really have, made a big difference in the past 18 months of making things livable.
It's a really interesting time at the moment because nobody really knows where we're at, and 2 years in almost from working from home and the pandemic and everything that threw at the industry, initially we all have reflected on that and thought we just got to get people at home and working and functional. As time's gone on, and I think initially none of us thought it was going to go on for this long, so we've now developed practices and actually habits have formed that have made people stop and think of more permanent solutions, more permanent setups at home, more professional setups at home. So I think one of the biggest changes in the last 2 years has been actually that investment in the quality of what working from home looked like. And I think I would quite like to lose the label of hybrid working, because you're just working. It doesn't matter whether your colleagues are working in an office where you can physically see them or they're at home. It's just a case that they're working, they're still doing their job. So I'd quite like to see that label to be dropped, but I know we all like labels. I think one of the best things that I've seen in the last 18 months, 2 years, is a growing swell of people who are genuinely interested in each other, in diversity, in each other's backgrounds. And actually, if we drop the labelling of people and drop the putting people into boxes and saying, well, actually, you're of this age, so you're going to behave this way, or you're of this religion, or you're of this sexuality, whatever it is, if we could just drop that and treat people as humans first. The lovely thing that I've seen, especially in the last 6 months, is an increasing number. I've had direct messages from people. I've been involved in conversations with people outside of my organisation who are genuinely interested in making our industry a lot better, and better for everybody, and a better understanding of some of these labels that are thrown around, like privilege, and actually understanding what that means. And even in terms of recruitment, so we've seen some amazing progression in terms of encouraging more in terms of intake and apprentices and that kind of thing into the industry. So there's lots of good news.
So this is what I think that COVID has done to the engineering side, and that has it's pushed them faster than what they thought they had to go. And actually Jenny Hickson in her talk today talked about the fact that the adoption of technology has fast forwarded 5 years, which is good for the engineers, right? So suddenly what they thought was going to take 5 years to get there, they're suddenly having customers pulling on. Now the downside of that is they thought they had 5 years with these old chipsets. They don't, right? So they're being pushed farther, they're being pushed faster, they're being pushed to the next iteration that they thought they had 2 or 3 years to kind of work on and let it, kind of percolate in their head. They're gonna have to be pushed a little bit farther and a little bit faster. AV is the best job and the best industry in the entire world. We make the coolest stuff, we make the best experiences, and we get to play with the coolest toys.